All right, traders. So today is the day, the BKCOT Commitment to Traders Challenge. All right, so I'm going to go in detail of what I want you guys to do. Now, this exercise is to help you understand what the big boys, when I say big boys, I mean the banks, the hedge funds, the large institutions who actually trade the Forex market. What are their positions in the market? We should be actually putting in the same positions as they do because they're the ones who actually are moving those candles. And if you want to be on the winning team, I suggest for you guys to understand how to read the COT report. Now, I'm not going to explain how to read the COT report in this video. I have another video in the past that I've created. It has about 16K views as of today. I'll link it right here, right up here if you want to take a look at it. But I suggest for you to take a look at it because it's going to help you understand and how to knock out this challenge. And if you stuck along in that video, the last video that I did when I mentioned that we'll have a challenge, we looked at OddCAD. And OddCAD did exactly what I said it would do. It rested right off of that minor support zone and it started to push up. However, Odd is going to be doing something a bit interesting this week based on the COT report. So I'm going to dissect a little bit of what I believe OddCAD is going to do based on the COT report. But the instructions for you guys, I want you to pick a pair, Forex pair. Any and every currency is okay except for the United States dollar. The United States dollar is an index when it comes to the COT report. When we look at the COT report from the government website, it provides us an index. An index is when you have multiple currencies into one. And so the United States dollar, when they add it, it's a bit manipulated and it's not true. So when we look at barchart.com, we're going to look at every other currency except that one. So let's go ahead and dive into it and I'll give you the instructions right here. All right, guys, so let's look at barchart.com. If you're unfamiliar with barchart.com and how to get to this graph, I highly suggest that you click this link here. It looks something like this when we talked about the COT report in detail, all the way from the government website, all the way to barchart and how to read this graph. If you're really looking to understand the COT report, I highly suggest that you enroll into our new course. We just made a course 2 weeks ago. It's a lifetime course. It's only $199. It's on our website, www.bktradingacademy. We go into strategies. We go into high impact news. We go into reading trends. We go into COT report for swing traders and for position traders. So if you like to hold trade for a while. Now, remember, the COT report is where the big boys put in their longs and their shorts. We know that the big banks and the institutions and how many longs and shorts that they're putting in based on these numbers here. So if you're unfamiliar with what you're looking at, I highly suggest you go back to our original video or simply enroll in a course. And the course, again, is a lifetime, and we continue to update modules and videos as I continue to learn the COT report because learning is never ending. So if you looked at my last video, when we talked about the COT report challenge, I analyzed OddCAD and it did exactly what it was supposed to do. When I analyzed the chart, it was on, I believe, Thursday. It was at this red candle. I drew a minor support zone and I drew a resistance zone here. We were just at this red candle and I believe that price was going to pull back down before it shot up. However, things have changed with the Australian dollar. I'm going to give you a brief education on how to look at this chart here and what's going to happen with OddCAD. Now for this week, which was just last week on May 14th, this was the Commitment to Traders report, we have a negative 12,655 for Australian dollar. And when we have a negative 12,000, I'm going to draw this illustration out for you right here. When you have a negative 12,000, that simply means price should be headed down for the first currency. Negative 12,000, I drew an arrow headed down. Now for the Canadian dollar, there's a negative 11,082, I believe. And when you have a negative 11,082 for the second currency, that means price should be headed up. And guess what? These two currencies are red. Canadian dollar is red, which means that the big banks and institutions have a lot of shorts with Canadian dollar and a lot of shorts with the Australian dollar. So imagine this, when you have two of the same colors, that means there's like a tug of war. You have someone pulling the rope upward, someone pulling the rope downward. And when you have a tug of war with the same colors, that means that there's no direct trend. You don't know if to trade up or down. You always trade with the biggest number. In this case, Australian dollar is the biggest number. We have over 12,000. But you don't just stop there because these two numbers are pretty close. That means they have over 12,000 short contracts for the Australian dollar and over 11,000 short contracts for the Canadian dollar. And so when you have numbers close like this, there's no dominant number. Now, let's say if this was 12,000 for the Australian dollar, and let's just say this was 1,000 for the Canadian dollar, then hey, we're going to have a strong short session right here. we would definitely see a pullback, and not just a pullback, it's going to be pretty aggressive, at least to this major zone. Getting my measuring tool from here to here, it's at least 100 pips for the week, or it could be more, but that will be an indication of a pullback. But because these numbers are pretty tight and pretty close, I believe we're going to have pullback, maybe a little bit more than CAD because this is bigger, but not much. So we would probably see a little consolidation, something like this for next week. That's it. We probably come down for about 50 pips, head up for 50 pips, come down for 50 pips, head up for 50 pips. Now, things could change if there's high impact news. And that's, again, if you want to learn about high impact news, I suggest that you enroll in our course or just simply look at our last video on YouTube. So the rules here, I want you to pick two currencies other than the United States dollar, because remember, the United States dollar is an index. It has a lot of different currencies all within this index, and it plays a big role. So in the United States dollar, there's the Canadian dollar, for example. I'm just going to go ahead and do this, and I'll show you. There's the euro, the Japanese yen, the pound, the Canadian dollar, and also the Swedish krona. So these two here are all weighted, and they're pulling up and down, and that can kind of change that. So that being said, guys, I want you to pick two currencies. Drop it in the comments here and just let me know, would you buy or would you short based on the commitment of traders? You don't even have to tell me a price. Just buy or short. You got to take baby steps. And then we'll continue, and I may drop another video next week about the next challenge just to kind of get you a little stronger. Again, I won't provide too much information because those who've actually paid for the course deserves that. I go ahead and drop every single thing in that course, everything that I know and more, because it's a lifetime membership, and I may even update videos and provide additional modules as well in the future. So that being said, guys, that's it for this challenge here, this first challenge. Drop your direction, and I will see you in the next video. God bless you.